So your band just played a gig and you made a couple $100. What do you do with that money? Today, we're talking exactly about that. What do you do with the money your band makes? Let's do this. Hey everybody, it's Pat and welcome back to another video. If you're new here and you're not sure what I do, well, I make all kinds of videos around creating music, such as tips, tricks, tutorials, product reviews, band advice, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So if that's something you're into, you might want to click the subscribe button. Once you've done that, how about you click the bell to get notified every single time I upload. Before we begin, I must warn you that you're going to hear a lot of background noise throughout this video. It's Monday night, there are a lot of bands jamming around, this is a rehearsal space after all, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. You're going to hear some metal, some screaming, some bass drums. Hey, it's the reality of making videos in your jam space. Let's begin. Alright, let's say it's Friday night, you just played a gig with your band, and after the gig you look at your little portable cash register, and there's $100 in there. Something like that. I don't know, maybe there was enough people to make money on ticket sales, maybe you sold some merch, t-shirts or vinyls or CDs. Some people still buy those. Or I don't know, maybe you have a tip jar and people tipped the band. Whatever it is, let's say your band is starting to make money. Well, I've been in enough indie bands and have made enough tens of dollars to have put together a list of 5 things I think you should do when your band starts making money. Spoiler alert, none of it includes paying yourself or your bandmates. Unless, of course, you have hired guns or hired musicians, pay those people, of course. But otherwise, if you're in one of those typical bands with bandmates, I have put together 5 things I think you should do in order of importance. The very first thing I think you should do if you have some money is to buy merch. Now, I said in the intro that maybe you sold merch and you made some money. Well, put that money back into more merch. If your band's never bought merchandise, well, I think you should probably really look into it. Get everybody to pitch in $100 or $200 and get a first run of t-shirts. I think that's the first thing you should probably get in terms of merchandise. Don't do, underwear or plectrums or anything, that fancy stuff that rock stars like to do. Just make a print of a t-shirt. That way you can start selling them, make more money, and then just buy more merch with that and just get better and more diverse merch. It just becomes its own little economy. Whatever money you're making, buy merch or more merch. Buy merch or more merch. Number 1. All right, so things are going well, you're still playing, you have a vinyl of your first recording, maybe you have CDs if you think your audience still buys those, you have t-shirts, and all right, you have a guitar pick with your band's logo on it. So you're selling that and you're making more money. Well, whatever extra money you're making, you should build an emergency fund. Now here, I'm assuming you're in a band with people you know, love, and trust. You're not worried that, giving money to somebody, they're just gonna leave with it or whatever. Find the 2 most financially responsible people in your band and together open a joint account. That's exactly what we did back in the day with Bad Captain. Myself and Alex opened an account that nobody could, transact from unless we both signed it. Having an emergency fund, I think, is really gonna help you out, especially, for example, if you start playing outside of your hometown. Let's say if you want to rent a truck, or sleep in a motel room, or you need gas money, or let's say you want to get, more Tim Hortons that you usually would. Well, having an extra amount of money in an account that's dedicated for the band might help you out. Or let's say you have a truck and it breaks down, or you lose something, or God forbid you get something stolen. Well, having that small amount will really help everybody out if you need to deal with those bad lucks. So number 1, merch. Number 2, build an emergency fund. All right, assuming you've done number 1 and number 2 in our little timeline, number 3 would be to invest in your next release, whether it's a single, an EP, or a full album. We all know that producing new music costs a lot of money. Just releasing a single on CD Baby can cost you $30, but maybe you want to pay a better or more experienced producer. Maybe you want to make your album in a better studio, or maybe you want to make it yourself and you want to invest in some gear. Get a good sound card, rent some mics and stuff, or maybe treat the drummer with a new drum rug. I don't know. You should probably save some money for your next release, your next single, EP, album, and so on. All right, moving on to number 4 and more of a live setting. You should probably put some of the money your band's making into putting together a better live performance. Now, I'm not talking about pyrotechnics or anything fancy like that, but you should probably get a bunch of vocal mics. That way, when you go to a show, you all have your own vocal mics. Or maybe you want to get a rack mount with a reverb unit, or maybe a compressor, or something like that. All right, number 5 comes with a warning. This is for advanced bands, let's say. Bands that are about to get signed, maybe. You're talking with different indie labels, you've been touring for a while, and you feel like there's something there. You should incorporate. become a company. There's so many advantages to becoming a small company that incorporating is really something you should look into. It's something we did back in the day with Bad Captain, but not for very long. The band broke up maybe a year later, and the company effectively shut down pretty much the next day. For us, it turned out to be quite expensive and not really worth it, to be honest, because, well, the band broke up. But if you're in a band that's really going strong, there's no reason why you shouldn't incorporate and become a company. All your expenses, your merch, everything, tax breaks, all that stuff that, to be honest, I don't have that much experience with, so I don't feel very comfortable talking about, but I know for a fact that incorporating when you've reached a certain level of success is definitely a good idea. I'm gonna throw in a bonus tip for you, and only because I'm on the fence about it. I did it once, and I'm still not sure whether or not it was a good idea. And that would be to buy a van. If you're in a band that plays shows outside of town and you're, doing these mini tours or weekend tours like we used to call them, maybe you should buy a van. Or maybe you shouldn't. I have a car, it's a hatchback, I can fit a bunch of gear in it. If another guy in my band has a hatchback, there we go. We got a touring setup effectively. Again, it's something that I did back in the day with my band, Bad Captain, and I love that van. It was awesome, but man, was it expensive. And I'm still not sure if you actually need one. If you're just a singer-songwriter, you don't need one. If you're in a metal band, then maybe you need one. Or maybe you just rent one every time you go on tour. You might save some money there. That's why it's sort of detached from my list of things you should do first with the money your band's making. I'm still on the fence about it. You know what? How about you let me know in the comments, what do you think? Should you not buy a van if you're in a successful band or, something like that? Discuss. Please, leave a comment. It'd be nice. If you enjoyed the video, don't be afraid to leave a like on your way out. It really helps small creators like myself. You can subscribe if you haven't done that already. Otherwise, if you want to contact me, all my social links are in the description down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.